Hi, Richard. Thank you very much for coming down to Njord HQ today. You guys at WoolSafe have been paramount for supporting our business and helping us get our product range into the market. We've got some frequently asked questions from our customers and many people in the industry that we wanted to cover off. How was your travel down?
Yeah, it was trouble-free. Really enjoyed it, and thanks very much for inviting us and hosting us. Really appreciate it. Hope we can answer some questions.
Well, you're always welcome. So the traffic wasn't too bad.
Well, I'd be lying if I said it was a joy. But, Oldham is Oldham.
So, first question that we're asked quite a lot is, on a product like Njord Hammer here, what does the WoolSafe certification mean to a carpet cleaner that's buying this product?
I mean, primarily it reassures professional carpet cleaners that the product inside the bottle, when it's diluted right and used right, is not going to harm wool or wool blend carpet. So it's a reassurance for the client. Okay,
brilliant. And obviously it has to work very well as also, doesn't it, as being safe?
Absolutely, yeah. The series of tests that we do at WoolSafe are kind of split into two, really. We've got the safety element, which, we're talking about pH and how well buffered the product is, whether it harms wool. And then we've got the performance side of things. So the product clearly needs to be safe, but it also needs to be effective.
And you guys do loads of tests, don't you, with the scientists at WoolSafe HQ?
Yeah, definitely. Our lab in Otley in Yorkshire is full of a whole host of equipment, and there are 22 different tests in the WS 1003 standard. And as I mentioned, some of those tests are safety orientated and others are performance based. And we choose which tests to do on which products. So slightly different tests, of course, on a pre-treatment versus an extraction detergent versus a spotter or a protector. You've got all those approved, but we do a series of tests based on the end use of the product.
I mean, something that I tell all of my customers, especially when I'm training them, is that it's paramount that professional carpet cleaners do use a WoolSafe or CleanSeal approved product when dealing with wool or, new advanced generation synthetics. There's a lot of products out there that are classified as safe for wool. Is there anything that you would, say as towards those versus something that carries the WoolSafe accreditation?
Well, it's about reassurance, really. Those 22 tests that I mentioned have been developed over many years. WoolSafe was formed in 1991, and we've been fine-tuning and honing those tests, which have really become international standards now since that time. So it's not really something that we've dipped our finger in and gone, yes, that's okay for wool. It's a proper series of laboratory tests that have grown over many years. So it's not something that we've chosen a logo and printed it on a bottle. It's a proper certification mark that reassures and builds trust.
And you guys are worldwide, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've got country offices in North America and Australia. We've got representation in Poland and Greece, and of course, yes, our HQ's in the UK. But we're working constantly around the globe at trade shows, in training courses. We've got a big training event in Australia coming up in August, and working hard for that, with Poland coming up early in the new year, Greece in February. So there's a lot happening.
So that gives UK carpet cleaners especially a lot of extra reassurance when this isn't just happening here, is it? It's happening worldwide.
No, absolutely. I mean, sheep are common around the globe, and so wool carpets, and wool carpet manufacture happens on a lot of continents out there. Markets are different. The American market's focused more on rugs, I would say. Certain industries focus on wool carpet. The hospitality. All the casinos in Vegas are full of wool carpet. A lot of cruise ships are full of wool carpet. So these carpets need maintaining around the globe by WoolSafe approved service providers, and also using WoolSafe approved certified products.
I mean, going back to what I train carpet cleaners very quickly, one of the main things that I try and explain to people is that wool carpets are arguably the best carpets that you can buy. They're designed to last an extremely long amount of time. However, they've got to be cared for in the right way, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you'll teach your customers about removing dry soil on whatever carpet, and that's important when it comes. Well, that's important when you're maintaining any carpet. But when it comes to wet cleaning or continued maintenance of any carpet, using an approved product is just going to be safer. It's going to give you reassured performance, but also that guaranteed safety. Yeah.
So, Richard, what is WoolSafe?
Well, primarily WoolSafe are a science-based company, and we are in the business of product testing. We don't sell product, we simply certify other people's products, approve them, and when we decide they're suitable, we list them in our directory, and then our job is to promote that directory at trade shows and through the industry press. We've also got a network of trained professionals, so looking at the virtuous circle behind me here, those trained professionals use approved products to improve the carpets that are provided by our associate members, typically the woven carpet manufacturers, wool carpet manufacturers, and that leads around and joins up that circle.
So essentially, you work with the carpet manufacturers to begin with, then the product manufacturers like myself, of course, then that goes hand in hand with the training.
Yep.
And becoming a fibre care specialist, and then a WoolSafe approved service provider, which then all links back. So the carpet manufacturers want WoolSafe approved carpet cleaners who are using WoolSafe approved carpet products. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's said much better than I did.
So when testing products, I'm guessing there is, a few that don't meet the criteria.
Oh, heck yeah. We get about 20 to 25% of the products that are submitted to us for testing that manufacturers have already decided in their own minds are safe for wool. So yeah, we fail 20 to 25% of those submissions, which surprises us, to be fair. I mean, we've had a product some time ago now, but it was submitted to us as being safe for wool in their eyes, and we found optical brighteners in there. We've had products that have got reducing agents in, and the manufacturers are unaware of this, perhaps because of raw material changes or batch issues or whatever. But yeah, it's a puzzle to us and it's a puzzle to them, and that's one of the reassurances that we get from those chemical partners we've got, that we're helping them to develop and improve constantly, in addition to providing them with this independent certification.
Well, as a manufacturer, it's really important that I have a range of WoolSafe products that meet that safety and efficacy performance criteria. However, though, as a carpet cleaner as well, running my own carpet cleaning business, I think it's paramount that we make sure that our customers' carpets last as long as they possibly can. We fail as professional carpet cleaners when that customer has to replace the carpet. And wool carpet is a huge investment. Even some of the the advanced synthetics like your polyamide nylons. And for us, the long game is for us to be able to go in year after year after year and clean it. As soon as the customer has to spend maybe £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 to replace that, we failed, and also it might be another 4 or 5 years before we see that customer again. So when it comes down to products, being labelled as safe for wool as opposed to being stamped up with WoolSafe, there is a real difference, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a real difference. Yeah, I think as I mentioned, we do get products submitted from manufacturers, and those manufacturers have spent R&D time and production time and testing time reassuring themselves that those products are safe for wool. They send the sample to us, and they're not suitable, they're not safe, and that's really what you're after, isn't it? You want something that's where you can look at that certification mark, that independent validation on the bottle, and your customer, or you in the case of a carpet cleaner, can go, great, job done, I can trust that, I know it's going to perform well, I know it's going to be safe, and happy days.
So in the 3 years that we've been trading as Njord Chemicals, we've been continually trying to improve our products to make them as good as they can possibly be, as efficient as they can possibly be, and also as safe as they can possibly be. Which means that some of our products have had, raw ingredient changes, and it's sort of paramount now that we're starting to get, higher pH, more effective products passed through the WoolSafe program. A lot of people probably won't be aware, but our products are subject to testing annually, aren't they?
Each WoolSafe approved product is submitted each year, fresh batch production sample for retesting. I mean, we do that really to reassure our stakeholders, so carpet manufacturers, retailers, the service providers, the WoolSafe service providers around the world. We call them WASPs, WoolSafe approved service providers. And yeah, each year those submissions are tested in the lab.
I mean, we're continually trying to improve our range, improve our chemicals, and actually we are putting more safe ingredients, more plant-based ingredients, and hence why we've got now even stronger products that are starting to meet the criteria. So I completely understand what you're saying about resubmitting it, because when we've changed formulas in the past and we've sent you the new one, we're like, well, is it going to pass this one or is it not? So it's good to be able to reassure our customer base and obviously other carpet cleaners across the UK that these products are thoroughly tested. They're tested every year. If a formula is even changed slightly, it has to be retested again. We can't make a product. We can't then send it to you, get it tested, and then change it, because we're subject to spot testing, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's important. It's a proper joined up certification program, the WoolSafe.
So alongside WoolSafe, we also have the CleanSeal certification that appears on my products. This is down to the fact that synthetics and wool will release soils differently, isn't it?
So we know that nylon and wool are different. Nylon is an oil-based fibre, and so it has an affinity for oil-based soil. Wool, of course, is a protein and is going to respond entirely differently to a synthetic. And that's really why we've got a series of WoolSafe tests and a series of CleanSeal tests. The CleanSeal ones are focused on the synthetics, the WoolSafe are focused on wool. And that's really important, because the synthetics respond differently to soiling and they respond differently to cleaning. So it's got to be a different set of tests.
To meet the CleanSeal criteria, it still has to meet the same strict standards on it for safety, efficacy and performance.
Just as the WoolSafe certification reassures your clients and our stakeholders generally that the product is approved for wool, the CleanSeal independent certification reassures them in the same way for synthetics. So Ollie, I've noticed on a lot of your products you have the CleanSeal certification mark and the WoolSafe certification mark. Why do you choose to do that?
So a lot of what we're about at Njord is to try and make the most advanced, efficient products that we can possibly make for our customers. One of our biggest driving factors is to reduce the amount of individual products that people have to carry on their van and have to buy at a price point. So when we had the opportunity to make these products so that they fit both criteria, we feel like we're really helping out our customer base by saving them having to buy on two completely separate products. Plus, having both on one bottle or in one product really does testify the quality and the performance of our products, and of course the safety that you guys test. So with a product like Nordhammer or any of our WoolSafe CleanSeal approved products, what sort of tests are they going to be subjected to when we send them off? Okay, well, the WoolSafe WS1003 international standard has 22 tests, and we choose from those tests based on the end use of the product. So if you're sending us a traffic lane cleaner or a spotter or an in-tank detergent, we're going to use different tests to evaluate those products. But generally speaking, the core tests are on the safety side, because don't forget we're testing for performance as well. But on the safety side, we're really focusing on pH and alkalinity, and we're separating those two tests as they should be separated. We're checking for the presence of oxidizing agents. We're checking for the presence of reducing agents. We don't want reducing agents in. Optical brighteners, we don't want optical brighteners in. These are all going to conflict with the safety side of things. And of course, then moving on to the performance side, if it's a traffic lane cleaner, it needs to work as it should. If it's a spotter, it needs to be effective as it should be. And of course, resoiling. So we've got the Kappa soil machine in the lab. We artificially soil carpet that's been where your product has been used on it, and we don't want to see the product under test increasing that soiling level. So it's positioned next to an untreated sample, and we want that untreated and treated to look exactly the same. So that gives anyone buying any product with the WoolSafe or the CleanSeal logo a lot of confidence. So they can buy that product, and as long as it's used as directed, they will experience no resoiling at all.
Correct. Yeah. And in the case of a protector, you would expect that the soiling to be in fact improved over the untreated sample in many cases.
So with a product like our Asgard protector, which is both WoolSafe and CleanSeal approved, do they get more stringently tested on resoiling?
Well, they get a part of the performance testing of those products, and the safety side of things is soiling. So yes, there is more of a focus on that because it's one of the key product features. Yeah.
So it has to not resoil and obviously have some kind of barrier in place to prevent either oil or water-based staining.
Yeah, with the protectors, we test against water-based stains, we test against oil-based stains, we test resoiling, and of course we also test for safety. So, Ollie, what attracted you to the carpet cleaning business, and again that move into chemical from purely cleaning?
Well, my background initially was corporate, and I found that I was working extremely long hours, and although I was paid very well for it, I never really had any time to see my family, to spend with my wife, and I came across carpet cleaning because I actually hired a professional carpet cleaner to come into my home with a wool carpet, and they couldn't fix the issues, which led me down the road of learning how to fix it myself, buying the equipment, doing training, and then I thought, right, I need to get my money back now for all this equipment I've bought, and started a carpet cleaning business, and that's how Fresh Fibres UK was born. Chemicals is a bit of a different story. So after 5 years of cleaning carpets, I started to learn more about the safety of the products that we're going to be using. And what I found is some of the, older high strength detergents that utilise older technology actually, require the use of a mask when you're wearing them, when you're using them in a home. And as soon as you do your own research when it comes to the strength of these chemicals and how safe they are for you to use them long term, it got me really thinking about, are these products affecting my health? Are they affecting my staff's health? Are they affecting my customers' health? So initially we went into chemicals to essentially make a range of products for Fresh Fibres only. When we came up with highly effective products that worked on better dilution rates, we took up less space on the van, worked faster, worked better. We then, compared them to what we were using and realised that they were actually significantly safer. They didn't require the use of wearing a mask when you're in a home, which means that your exposure long term as an operator using them is significantly better for your health. Then we looked at branding these things, and this is how Njord was created. All the branding was done between myself and a professional illustrator who utilised my ideas. All the graphic design that you see for Njord is all done by myself too. And no, I wasn't a graphic designer before. I basically learned how to do all this stuff myself. We live in one of the best times to be alive in terms of free information at our fingertips. So I went online, I did online courses on how to do graphic design, how to video edit, how to, edit photographs, how to produce things that are high quality. And I think that the industry was missing a lot of support for professional carpet cleaners. And I think that alongside the safety is what drove me to make Njord a reality. And I think it's also been what's paramount to our success over the last 3 years. One of the biggest game changers that I found was creating the Book of Njord, which is a 128-page guide. It's also backed up online as a Google-type search engine where carpet cleaners who use my products can simply search for any type of carpet, any type of soiling, stain or job that they come across. Then it will give them before and after pictures, step-by-step instructions on how to deal with that job using our products. And had I have had that sort of resource and support when I first started as a carpet cleaner, I certainly know it would have been a lot easier for me. And I think alongside the chemistry, I think the support, the customer service that we offer our customers, those two things together are what drive us more as a business than simply just getting into chemicals. Because as you probably know, the research and development to make your own products costs a lot of money. It's very easy to go and buy products from somewhere else and white label them. But when it comes to manufacture, research and development, making them safe, making them smell amazing, which we are very good at. All of our products contain perfumes and essential oils. So they're not like harsh, hazardous perfumes. They're all essential oil based, which smell like either premium aftershaves or premium perfumes or expensive candles that you can buy in high-end stores. Again, another one of the things that was paramount for us is making carpet cleaners' lives easier. So less products on the van, products that last loads longer than our competitors. I mean, as an example, this product here works from just 1 mil per litre. If you're currently using products that are 150 mil per litre, no, this is 150 times more efficient. You're going to end up buying a lot less of our products, which makes us a lot greener, makes us a lot better for the environment. We do our best in terms of adding plant-based ingredients, making them as safe as possible, as good for the environment. But another thing that a lot of people know is that our bottles are mainly recycled and they're recyclable. Our new generation of products are multi-use. So for argument's sake, Njord Hammer is not only a spotter, which would replace 8 to 10 other individual spotter bottles on your van, like a protein spotter, blood spotter, red wine spotter, tea and coffee spotter. But actually, on top of that, it replaces multiple different types of pre-sprays. As far as we know, it's still the only hybrid product on the market, which means it's enzyme and citrus solvent based, which covers a whole bigger range of soiling than what you're going to get with a traditional detergent product. Finally, it's also working as an in-tank cleaner. So for sheer versatility, there is nothing else on the market that you can buy that covers as much as what Njord Hammer does for the price. That takes up the room that it takes up on your van or on your shelf.
I'm going to get my credit card out. Yeah.
So let me bounce that back to you, Richard. What's the WoolSafe story and why were you guys founded?
So WoolSafe were formed in 1991, triggered by an increase in cleaning-related complaints caused by generally inappropriate cleaning chemicals. The programme was created by scientists at the International Wool Secretariat in Ilkley. And the WoolSafe founder, Paul Backer, was one of those scientists. He worked with carpet manufacturers and chemical manufacturers to put together the testing protocols.
I think a lot of the trade don't realise that you have scientists who work there on your books.
We've fully qualified chemists on the payroll. Karen, who does most of the laboratory testing, has been in the industry for 30 plus years. So yeah, although we're only a small company, we've an awful lot of technical ability and accreditations and experience, yeah.
So one of the biggest things that we get asked on a daily basis from carpet cleaners that buy our products, prospective carpet cleaners, and even my trainees when I'm training people on courses, is how can we have a pH 13 product like Njord Hammer and it still carry the WoolSafe logo and not require an acid rinse to neutralise after cleaning?
Yeah, that question is really critical to the WoolSafe programme, really. pH is not the best indicator for safety, or suitability for wool, that's for sure. Yes, it's a clue, it provides a clue, but it's certainly not the full story. What's more important, really, is for us to measure alkalinity, and that's what we do at the WoolSafe lab. We're measuring alkalinity, or what a lot of people call buffering, and we do that by taking a ready-to-use solution of the product and titrating it or adding a known volume of acid, and we see what effect that acid has on the pH of your product. In the case of the one you've got there, the pH drops really quickly to a safe level with very little acid, and that's reflected in practical tests when we're cleaning a wool carpet. The pH of the product in the tank is it drops to a very safe level immediately. So there's a lot less risk in terms of colour fastness. There's no risk in terms of fibre damage, and it's really the crux of that. So yeah, pH isn't a great measure. It's much more about how stable that pH is once diluted.
And for people that aren't, really well versed in pH, alkalinity, in essence, although you just mentioned using an acid to pull it down, we actually, promote this product as self-neutralizing with just water.
In the lab, we use acid in the test because we can control we know all about that product. Out in the field, of course, your carpet cleaning customers are going to be using water. Of course, we test it with water. How we do it reproducibly in the lab is using acid. But yeah, it neutralizes with water. And of course, don't forget that wool is dyed on the acid side and has an acid. The carpet itself is stable on the acid side. So as soon as your product hits it, it's going to neutralize it. So there's a common misconception in the industry that using a high pH pre-spray on wool followed up by an acid rinse in the tank is acceptable for the wool. And that's really not the case because we don't know enough about that high pH pre-spray. How highly buffered or not that pre-treatment is really the key. If it's a very highly buffered, highly alkaline pH, trying to neutralise it with an acid rinse is not going to happen. It might bring it down a point or two on the pH scale, but because it's so highly buffered, that's not sufficient. The wool is still screaming. Colour fastness issues are much more likely to rise. Fibre damage is going to happen, and you're going to cause issues for your carpet cleaning customer.
I mean, just sort of building on what you've said, I think it works both ways as well. As an example, we have an acidic product in our range, which is definitely not WoolSafe, and it would never meet the criteria. So I think people do really need to move away from what pH the bottle is stamped at and whether it's safe for wool, and go back to, does it carry the badge of approval? Has it met the criteria? Has it been tested? And go from there.
Yeah, I'd agree 100%. The amount of effort going back to our, the founding of WoolSafe in 1991, the testing protocols are constantly being fine-tuned and honed to constantly improving it. So yeah, it's important just to stick to that certification mark and use that as the badge of trust. Yeah.
Another thing that I think is worth mentioning is if you are using higher pH chemistry to clean wool carpets, and you were to use it multiple times over and over, it probably would be best that, on the third or the fourth clean, maybe the customer goes in with a WoolSafe approved acidic detergent like Harmony in our range, instead of, say, Nordhammer, to sort of bring that pH level back down a little bit to make sure that the wool lasts a very long time.
Yeah, we've got research to prove that that's a good interval. Yeah.
So you do a lot of training, don't you, at WoolSafe? We actually have a WoolSafe Fibre Care Specialist course coming up soon at Njord. What courses do you do, and how would they benefit our viewers?
Well, yeah, the WoolSafe Academy is where you'll find a list of all those training courses, and the Njord event is on there. Some customers prefer online training, others prefer face-to-face. And yeah, the choice is yours, really. We do all sorts of subjects. The Fibre Care Specialist is our most common, our most popular training event. But we do carpet fault identification. We do inspector training. We did a lot of training during the pandemic on biohazards to support the industry. So yeah, a whole host of training events. And in terms of geography, yes, We've got events coming up in Australia. We did a series of training courses in North America around the WoolSafe conference there recently. So yeah, all sorts of subjects and all sorts of locations. Yeah.
Do you have any courses coming up which would cover, sort of advanced stain removal, where people would typically use oxidizers and reducers, or is that something that you would recommend that's left to a specialist?
It's important to recognise your boundaries as a professional cleaner. You need to be fully trained before you delve into powerful oxidizers and reducing agents. Yeah, for sure. But it's an important aspect of restoration, let's call it. It's not something you do as routine maintenance. So yeah, advanced training is really important for those kind of things.
So another question that we're asked quite a lot is wool harder to clean than a synthetic carpet?
I think most of the viewers will recognise that wool is much easier to clean than synthetics. It's far more forgiving in terms of soiling. Those cuticles on the fibre that are so good at holding soil and release it so easily during dry vacuuming and routine maintenance. It's far easier to clean. I think another point, synthetic fibres scratch and abrade and wear so unevenly and so easily that it's they tend to look ugly sooner, and wool in that sense just doesn't, does it? You keep it keeps looking good for many years. And I'm sure lots of the viewers will have cleaned carpets this last few days that are 20, 30, 40-year-old wool carpets that are still looking good. Yes, they're a bit worn, but show me a nylon or polypropylene or polyester carpet that's that age and looks good. It just doesn't tend to happen.
I mean, I think another common misconception across the carpet cleaning industry, like I just asked about wool being difficult to clean, is it being difficult to get stains out of wool carpet. Now, obviously, we both know that can be down to that carpet being cleaned just one time from a product that isn't approved.
Yeah, I think that is an issue. Removing particularly dye stains from carpets generally can be challenging, and that's true of any fibre really. And that's why training is so important, because there are guys out there that have 100% success at correcting dye stains on 100% of the jobs they're on. So it can be done. It's knowing what techniques to use and what products to use to keep it manageable. I think it's important to say that when you're in that situation, there is a time to where professional cleaners need to step outside the WoolSafe realms of safety and product approval, and use products that are probably more aggressive. Ultimately, removing the colour and the dye stain from the carpet and re-dyeing the carpet, that's something that we've taught, well, many dozens just in the last 3 or 4 months. Colour repair on wool and on vegetable fibres, sisal and coir and seagrass.
One of the things that I actually train on my courses is for anyone who's dealing with a wool carpet for a clean or an attempted stain removal, is actually to do the same test as the video on your website, where you go in with a small glass dropper bottle with a pipette, and you put a very small amount of just water onto the surface of the carpet to see if that repellent is still intact. And that will give cleaners an indication of whether they're going to have an easy job on their hands or a difficult one.
Yeah, I mean, the natural repellency that wool has, it's one of the clear benefits of buying a wool carpet, and it's something that really wants maintaining. Using a WoolSafe approved product to maintain that carpet, and that's what we're always going to advocate. It's going to maintain that repellency, and using a non-approved product is going to damage it. Yeah, that video is valuable, isn't it?
I mean, another thing building on that is we would then recommend that anyone who's cleaning a wool carpet would put a recommendation into the customer to use a WoolSafe approved stain protector after that clean, whether the repellent is intact or not, simply to build upon that the natural resiliency of the wool and prevent any further staining or dirt from dyeing that carpet moving forward.
Yeah, I think the reassuring your customer by applying a carpet protector is, it's a good thing, especially in areas where you've got a high risk of spillage, hallways and people's front rooms where they're eating takeaways and drinking red wine. It's having a stain protector is going to be reassurance for them, and it's going to make your professional carpet cleaning guys much more effective at getting the result they want in the time they've got. So especially on commercial installations, just suggest to your customers that they check the manufacturer's recommendations for the application of a carpet protector.
So another frequently asked question is, do wool carpets need cleaning more than synthetic ones?
No, definitely not. Wool carpet is much more forgiving when it comes to hiding soil and releasing soil, both dry and wet. Wool is easier to clean than synthetics. And what's really important as well, don't forget, is the chemistry of cleaning wool. It's a protein fibre. It needs dealing with carefully and correctly. So using the WoolSafe approved certification and checking the product label for that is going to provide reassurance and guarantee effectiveness here.
Another commonly asked question is, do wool carpets shrink easily? And what is the root cause of that? Is it water? Is it heat?
So shrinkage most often happens in the backing of a carpet. So it's about construction, not fibre. And, wool is processed at very high temperatures during scouring and dyeing. So it's very stable in that sense. And wool as a fibre is not damaged by high temperature. So yeah, think about construction when you're thinking about shrinkage. The classic example is the Belgian Wilton. No wool in that. In fact, no protein fibres in it at all. Yet that's the worst carpet for shrinkage, isn't it? So, yeah, look at shrinkage from a construction point of view, and that's really where the focus needs to be, from a carpet cleaning point of view. How's this made is more important than what's it made of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more common that you'd get a latex backing relaxing on a carpet and then having to settle after a few days than it would be that you would shrink it from either heat or water.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah.
On occasion, wool carpets can go yellow and they can go brown. What are the key differences between that? How to avoid it and how to fix it if it happens?
Okay, well, two different things, really. Let's talk about browning first. Wool itself doesn't cause browning and doesn't go brown during cleaning or from overwetting. That's caused by cellulosic fibres and most commonly caused by jute. Now, jute is still used widely in carpet manufacturing in the backing, but less than it used to be. So it's a problem that's less frequent. But a lot of your customers are cleaning old jute-backed carpet. That's why it's at the front of a lot of people's minds. So yeah, if they slightly overwet the carpet, maybe by using excessive amounts of pre-spray or by using a pour wand technique or whatever. Wet the backing, that lignin dye that's in the cellulosic fibre comes to the surface of the carpet and is left with that brown shadow. It can be removed, but yeah, it shouldn't really be caused in the first place. Yellowing that's more complicated. It's a question that we'd have normally crop up on WoolSafe training courses or at the WoolSafe conference, but it's one outcome of using a very highly buffered, high pH product, and yeah, that can lead to or cause the wool to yellow, and it's to do really with the amino acids in the wool releasing sulfur, and that high pH buffered product can cause that, and sulfur is yellow, so that's what causes the yellowing.
So Richard, as a professional carpet cleaner, there's a lot of instances where I come across DIY off-the-shelf products that have caused damage potentially to carpets and they carry the WoolSafe logo. How does that happen?
Well, there's two parts to that question, really. Be reassured that those consumer products have undergone the same stringent WoolSafe and in some cases CleanSeal approval testing. So the products perform, there's no question about that. And they're also safe for wool. So that leads us to the second point, which is, the problem. And the problem really is how those products are used. Generally speaking, and we've all seen it, the homeowner is much more likely to scrub the carpet rather than blot it. There's also an issue with focused cleaning. So they're going to be applying a spotter to just the particular area of the carpet that's affected. We get calls saying that products have caused bleaching. Excuse me, it's not bleaching. They've focused their energy on a 10 square centimetre area for a quarter of an hour. They've blotted, scrubbed everything, and it just looks entirely different. They've also damaged the fibre, so the fibre's flattened down. The side of the fibre reflects more light than the tips, so it looks lighter. So yeah, it's a common complaint, and it's applicator error.
So basically down to the customers potentially not using the products correctly or not having an extraction machine to remove the product and the soil in afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we, our WoolSafe hotline at the office, that rings when people are on the WoolSafe app looking at spot and stain removal. Consumers ring up. And, we reach a point where we think, this customer really does need a professional cleaner to help them out. It's not something they can deal with themselves, and you can usually tell that on the phone when you're chatting to them.
I mean, a lot of the time as well, that product alone is probably not the only thing that's been used. They've probably used everything else under the kitchen sink, fairy liquid, dishwasher detergent.
Yeah.
Is that something that you find?
Absolutely, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, people will try all sorts of stuff. And of course, the first thing they reach for is not the spotter under the sink, it's the iPad. And they're Googling how to remove this, that and the other. And there's all sorts of magic vinegar and bicarbonate of soda recipes on the internet that can cause all sorts of issues. So yeah, really good point.
I mean, it's always been one that I've not quite understood myself, because obviously bicarbonate of soda is alkaline, and then you've got vinegar, and the instructions are to mix it before you put it on the carpet, not after. So there's absolutely zero chance of getting a transfer. You just sort of pour in a homemade mixture into the mix.
Yeah, it's laughable, and it's a shame, because causing those kind of issues is it's only going to damage their investment, really. So yeah, from a consumer's point of view, and just to reiterate what I said firstly, that WoolSafe approved logo on a consumer product, it's nothing to be frightened of as a professional cleaner. It's actually reassuring for you coming in, and your customer says, well, I've used this. Did I do the right thing? Yeah, you did the right thing. Thank goodness you didn't use something under your sink and cause damage. So yeah, it's a good question.
So really, I think it boils down to reading the labels and following the instructions.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. And I think, your website's impressive, and more consumers are going to be drawn towards that. And good solid advice from chemical manufacturers and industry trade bodies like ourselves, and are going to raise the bar in the industry and hopefully stop consumers causing themselves those kind of problems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's on all of us, isn't it, really, to sort of raise awareness for the consumers, to raise the standards, stop people putting the wrong things down, stop people damaging these carpets before professional carpet cleaners like myself and my trade customers have a chance to come and fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's the best way of removing, difficult stains on wool carpet?
Wow, there's a big question. I think, your 4 factors of, that I think some people call it chat, some people call it tact, the acronym of time, temperature, mechanical action and chemical action. So it's a combination of those 4 factors, and they are the only 4 factors that you can use as a professional cleaner or a consumer to take stains out. And we would say that the majority of the action is the chemical. So it's about choosing the right product, choosing a product that's trusted and tested and safe. And that's really the answer. I think it's identifying, back to the basics of identifying the stain. Really, so many times we see, we get calls from professional cleaners and homeowners who, well, what have you done so far? Oh, I hit it with this, and I hit it with that, and I hit it with the other, and now I can't get the stain out. Much better to spend time identifying it, and if you know what the carpet fibre is and the construction, you know what the soil is, you've got a much more better chance of getting it out.
If we came across a stain that we couldn't work with, would there be a recommendation really to look at the WoolSafe approved service provider network? I
think so. Yeah, the wasps that you're referring to do generally have a very high level of experience and skill in removing stains. So yeah, I think they typically sit at the top of the industry. They are more experienced. They've got a high degree of training. They've been in business more than 5 years typically, and of course they're trained. So yeah, it's a trusted network, and you're running that course, in fact, coming up.
Well, absolutely. I mean, at the time when we first started manufacturing products, we actually hadn't been trading long enough as a carpet cleaner to become WoolSafe approved service providers. I don't know whether that's ever happened in the past, where you've had someone who manufactures who also provides the service that can't actually qualify to be an approved service provider yet. So we'll be doing the training ourselves when it comes up, and obviously, hopefully, passing all the tests and accreditations. But for anyone watching, what does the training entail, and what can they expect?
I mean, as you highlighted, you've to have been a practicing professional cleaner for 5 years at least, and you have to have passed with a high pass mark the fibre care specialist training that you're hosting and is available online for those that can't make that date. And that's on your website, isn't it?
It is, yes, absolutely.
So they're the two choices. And we check insurance details and really those kind of things that make sure that the listing on the woolsafe.org website is up to date and can be trusted.
And there is also an element of where you've got the high-end wool carpet manufacturers. They will only want WoolSafe approved service providers to clean their carpets, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, the WoolSafe, many of these carpet manufacturers are WoolSafe associate members, and they really do steer their problems to the WoolSafe network because that network's using approved products. So it really reassures that that part of the industry that guys are not going to come along and cause additional issues by using unapproved products. It's that's a real key. And I mentioned earlier that the WoolSafe organisation back in 1991 was, it came about partly because of the of problems caused by inappropriate maintenance of carpets, and it's pressure from the carpet industry that really created that spark. So yeah, it's really critical. Yeah.
I mean, I've tried to do a lot myself with the Book of Njord and our own training to sort of steer people in the right direction, especially if they've never had any professional training up to this point. So if we're talking about a newcomer to the industry, they've bought a second-hand machine online, hopefully if they buy my products, my sample kit, they will get a book that tells them how to clean wool carpets safely and effectively, kind of without doing the course. However, the benefit really to be the best of the best is to get yourself approved, do the course, and become like a champion of the industry, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, a lot of professional cleaners that do the WoolSafe Fibre Care Specialist course haven't been in the industry 5 years. They know that, we know that, but they're doing the training because it's valuable training and they want to learn. And in an industry that's moving so quickly, you've talked about the advanced chemistry in your products, and that's true in across large parts of the industry. But I think it's training generally is something that's the money you spend on training is never wasted, is it?
No, never.
Even as an experienced cleaner, you pick up one or two nuggets on a course, and it's often stuff that you knew but you'd forgotten. And it's great to just refresh that.
There is absolutely no time or money wasted when it comes to training. I do my own courses, and they're more based from a real-world practicality point of view. It's how I train my technicians, and anyone who does our course goes through that same sort of process and principle based on how I would do the job in real life. But there's a wealth of knowledge and experience in this industry with other trainers that have been doing it a lot longer than me. And my advice is to do as much training as you possibly can and become the best cleaner that you can be.
Yeah, I think that's right. And because of our history and our focus, the WoolSafe Fibre Care Specialist does, we spend time talking about medulation and cuticles. You probably don't on your training. And so there's a good overlap of knowledge as well. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You can never learn too much.
So we both know the answer to this question, but a lot of our viewers won't. What is an oxidizer? What is a reducer? And why should people avoid using these in certain instances on wool carpets?
Okay, well, that's a big question, and I'm not going to give a big answer. But I think the WoolSafe testing program has products in it that contain small amounts of oxidizing agents. Certainly no reducing agents, that's for sure. But really, those are maintenance products for carpet cleaning. I think what you're alluding to is oxidizing and reducing agents for specialist stain removal. And so oxidizers add oxygen, reducers kind of remove oxygen, and they're used to modify colour in a carpet. And they'll modify colour in any carpet that's dyed in the most common ways. Does that kind of start answering the question? Am I going down the
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, we have products in our range that don't carry the WoolSafe badge that would meet that criteria of what we classify as salvage cleaning products. So we would be telling, if we're going to use one of them, certainly on a wool carpet, we'd be telling the customer that using this product could potentially change the way it looks and feels permanently, hopefully for the better, but we wouldn't be able to guarantee that. I mean, you know, if we're dealing with, say, a really difficult to remove urine stain, we'd use a product in our range called Invader, which carries a very high concentrate of oxidizer. And that would hopefully, in that instance, you know, either brighten the stain, reduce it, you know, make it look better.
Yeah.
But all while changing the way that the carpet looks and feels permanently or potentially damaging the dyes. I mean, is there anything that you can add to that?
I think, I mean, there are certain, with training, you're going to realise that certain families of chemistry work best on certain stains. So blood responds really well to oxidizers, doesn't it? But just to reinforce the reducing agent part of the question, I mean, reducing agents break the cross links in the structure of the wool, and that reduces the resilience of the wool. So resilience is that ability that wool has to bounce back, the kind of spring in the fibre. So an example of where that's kind of seen in action is manufacturers of woolen kilts. They've got creases down the kilt, and those creases look like they're ironed in. They're actually caused by, or they use a reducing agent to stop the wool, to damage the wool on those creases, to stop it losing that sharp crease. So reducing agents damage wool, and that's why you wouldn't find them in any approved products. But yeah, using oxidizers and reducers is something you would expect to do as you get more mature and more skilled in the industry and you've had the right kind of training.
But there's never going to be a situation where one of these strong agents will carry a badge because it will damage the carpet. Yeah,
at certain levels, the oxidizers are acceptable, but those levels are for maintenance of carpet, not
yeah, so very low percentages.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we're talking 2-3%, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been great having you. Hopefully we've answered everybody's questions. Thank you for coming down.
Cheers.
We have got WoolSafe training coming very soon. We're constantly striving to improve our products and send more for testing. So hopefully you'll be seeing a few more of us soon. But yeah, thank you very much for coming, for answering everyone's questions, and have a safe journey back.
No, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. And thank you for your support. Good man. Thank you.